Welcome into Texans today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and we've got some breaking news. The Texans 2025 schedule, yes, it has officially been leaked. I have all 17 games coming up on tap for you today. Shout out to all the hardworking people that really help us get these schedules out before the NFL does all their hoopla later on. But I just want to start off today's show. If you're brand new to the program, we just hit 30,000 subscribers. So thank you to everybody who's hit that sub button so far. If you haven't yet, make sure you go down and hit that subscribe button, 100% free. But if you're already a loyal subscriber to this channel, if you're part of the best Texans community here on YouTube, go down and spam those H's for me real quick, because I really do appreciate each and every single one of y'all out there who make this thing happen, who really help me out. I really do appreciate it. And without further ado, let's get straight into why you clicked onto this video for the Texans schedule. Week 1, going up against the LA Rams in SoFi. This is going to be an interesting one for the Houston Texans because of one reason and one reason only. Their new offensive coordinator, Nick Caley, he will be returning to the team where his mentor is, Sean McVay. He was on that Rams coaching staff this past year, and, Nick Caley's going to be able to, get a chance to prove himself. His first go calling plays in the NFL is going to be up against his former mentor in Sean McVay. That is going to be must-see television week 1 for the Houston Texans. Let's go to week 2, where we get our first primetime game. The Texans will face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. And we all remember the last time the Texans faced the Bucs. It was that amazing game in C.J. Stroud's rookie year where he came back, had that ending touchdown to Tank Dell, which does bring a little bit of a tear to my eye, just thinking about that amazing rookie year and how great of a connection him and Tank Dell had that year. Really exciting. Texans, 2 interesting games to, really start off week 1 and week 2. Really interested to see, how that plays out for this team. And, moving on, we have our week 3 matchup, and that's going to be up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Really interested to see how this goes. Our first division matchup. It's the first matchup up against, an AFC South foe. First time that Travis Hunter's going to get worked, right? First time he's going to get worked, because the whole thing is, if he plans on playing both ways, this is going to be an amazing test for him. At least I think so, because you look at it, right? He not only has to go up against Derek Stingley on offense. He's going to have to try to beat Derek Stingley. He also then has to go on defense and try to defend Nico Collins. It's not an easy task whatsoever for Travis Hunter, but that's going to be the first time that we'll be able to see our new division foe in the Jacksonville Jaguars, now under Liam Cohen, and with new star, all-around 5-tool guy in Travis Hunter. Then we go back-to-back. We have another AFC South foe in the Tennessee Titans. They're going to be playing them in week 4. Brand new quarterback in Cam Ward. Going to be very interesting to see how he plays up against Houston. The Titans, they've had a lot of changes this offseason, namely being Cam Ward, the guy who's under center. So I'm really interested to see how he fares up against the Houston Texans and how the Titans look, because Texans, back-to-back AFC South champs, can they repeat for a 3rd straight season? Before we keep on rolling along, I want to know, what game are you most excited for? You don't have to answer this right now. Maybe you already know what game you're most excited for. We knew the opponents before the schedule being released today. Let me know down in the comment section, though, what game are you looking forward to the most going into this season? All right, let's keep it rolling with our week 5 matchup up against the Baltimore Ravens. They are traveling to Baltimore in week 5, and I'm glad this is getting out of the way, right? It's Baltimore, an outdoor stadium. I'm glad it's in week 5. It's not early, it's not later on in the season where there could be, bad weather, snow, cold, whatever. The Texans have an early test up against one of the, top contenders in the AFC along with the Houston Texans. So they have that Week 5 matchup. And then maybe the NFL, they heard my video earlier this week saying, please don't give the Texans the latest bye. The Texans have an earlier bye this year. They have their Week 6 bye after the Ravens game, which might be a nice little get right, week for the Texans. A very physical game up against the Baltimore Ravens in Week 5, and then the Texans get their bye week in Week 6. Next up, we have another primetime matchup. Texans up against the Seattle Seahawks on Monday Night Football. That should be a very exciting one as well. Kind of a little bit of a random one in my opinion to have, Texans Seattle Monday Night Football. That's not what I really think of whenever I think of, Texans rivalry games per se, but okay, right? We have a new quarterback in Sam Darnold in Seattle. It's going to be on the road. The Seattle fan base really rowdy up there, the 12s as they like to say, or Houston fans, we know the real 12s are in College Station, but here nor there. It's going to be a big matchup and another primetime game for the Texans. They don't have as many as they did last year, as they just were littered with primetime games, but an interesting game right here as the Texans travel to the West Coast. And then they play another NFC West team in the San Francisco 49ers. Week 8 up against the Niners. This is another interesting one because they, Monday Night Football, I guess somewhat of a short week, right? They play on Sunday in Week 8 up against the Niners. They're coming to town, and a lot of question marks surrounding the San Francisco 49ers heading into this year, right? What are they going to do with Brock Purdy? Are they going to end up giving him a contract? A lot of rumors around Brandon Ayuk possibly wanting a trade. They already dealt Deebo Samuel earlier this offseason. So, a very interesting one right there. Week 8 matchup. The 49ers are traveling to Houston to go up against the Houston Texans. Now, let's go into this next game. Week 9 up against the Denver Broncos. Back-to-back home games for the Texans. They are going to be playing the Denver Broncos, who had a pretty decent year last year, right? The Bo Nix kind of experiment worked out for them. They look pretty good in my opinion, right? Bo Nix and Sean Payton up there. They're going to be traveling to Houston November 2nd. They'll be facing off up against the Texans, and that should be another interesting matchup for this Texans team. The Broncos made the playoffs last year with a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix. Will that second-year development be there? Or could we see a little bit of a stumble, kind of like C.J. Stroud did his second year, where I think C.J. is going to get on the right track going into year 3. Next up, we have another division foe. Week 10, our second game up against Jacksonville. This one is going to be a home game up against Jacksonville. That earlier one was in Jacksonville. Now we have this one in Houston, right? We play all of our division foes twice. So getting this out of the way early as we play the Jaguars twice. Second game being in Week 10. And we back-to-back again. Week 11 up against the Titans. Kind of all this same stuff I said earlier, right? And this one's going to be in Tennessee. And we all know the Titans, we scared them off from wearing the Oiler jerseys. They're done wearing the Oiler jerseys for this season at least. They did change their normal home jerseys to a powdery blue jersey. So whatever there. But second game up against the Tennessee Titans. You play the Jags and Titans, both of those games by Week 11. Next up, and this was one of the games where it really showed how dominant the Texans defense was last year up against Josh Allen. We play them again. This one on Thursday Night Football. I hate Thursday Night Football games, but at least we're playing the Titans before that Thursday night game so we don't get beat up too bad. Partially kidding. But still, Thursday Night Football up against Josh Allen, up against the Buffalo Bills, and no one circles the wagons like the Bills, but nobody tears those wagons down quicker than the Houston Texans defense. Last year, held Josh Allen, I believe, under 100 yards passing. They still needed a last-second field goal to win that game from Kaimi Fairbairn, but still, the defense last year up against Buffalo was suffocating. They were amazing last year. Hopefully, they could recreate that performance up against Josh Allen and the Bills in Week 12. Week 13, up against the Colts at Indianapolis for this one. And the biggest question mark with this one, for me at least, who's going to be the quarterback by Week 13, right? Is it going to be Anthony Richardson? Is it going to be Daniel Jones? Is it going to be somebody else on the roster? I don't know. I'm leaning towards Anthony Richardson, but maybe Daniel Jones. I don't know. I don't know where that kind of lays out by the time the Texans face off against the Colts for the first time in the 2025 season. Week 13 is going to be that first matchup between the Texans and the Colts. Then we go to Week 14, where we have another primetime matchup, Sunday Night Football. So, Sunday Night Football, Chiefs. Last time we played the Chiefs, we had to go to Arrowhead. The time before that, we had to go to Arrowhead. And once again, the Texans are being forced to travel to Kansas City. I mean, hey, all I can say is this. The last 2 times the Texans have played the Chiefs in Arrowhead, I think those were both very winnable games for this Texans team. The playoff game, they had their chances, couldn't come up in the clutch late in that game on offense. The O-line, the protection just failed this Texans team, and that's what ultimately ended the Texans season this past year. And then the time before that, they were really on the comeback before that devastating Tank Dell injury in the end zone. So I'm really interested to see how the Texans bounce back. Can they finally overcome the Chiefs and get that win in Arrowhead? I'll be live for this game, rooting on the Texans, just like I will be, I believe, for every single game this season. Another reason why you got to hit that subscribe button. Week 15, up against the Arizona Cardinals. They will be coming down to NRG Stadium. And another one, right? That rookie season up for CJ Stroud. Another, amazing memory. Him to Tank Dell. That 50-yard bomb after he evaded the sack. That was amazing. The Cardinals have a very interesting team coming up in this year, too, right? Kyler Murray, where does he stand amongst NFL quarterbacks? He got that big contract and has been okay. And the Cardinals have been kind of the mediocre team throughout the NFL, in my opinion, over the past 3 to 4 seasons. They're around 500 team, in my opinion. And will they finally break through and become a somewhat contender in the NFC? Or could they look to possibly move on from Kyler Murray at the end of this season? Let's go into the next game, Week 16, up against the Raiders. The Raiders are coming into town, and that'll be another one, a very interesting game. A lot of changes in Las Vegas, right? New head coach, Pete Carroll. New quarterback in Geno Smith. This should be another interesting matchup. Raiders at Texans in Week 16. Very excited to see how this Texans team goes up against some different competition, right? A brand new team in the Las Vegas Raiders have a pretty good defense with Max Crosby, so I'll be very interested to see how this one goes. And if any Texans content creators are down, I'm actually thinking about coming down Week 16 to have a Texans meetup that weekend. Obviously, I go live for all the games, so it would be on that Saturday or Friday right before this game. But if you would be interested in this, let me know down in the comment section if you'd be down for a Texans meetup, maybe with me and a bunch of Texans content creators. I think at least that would be fun, in my opinion. I think that would be a cool idea. Week 17 at the Chargers. They will be going back to L.A. They started the season in L.A. at SoFi. Week 17, they almost dang near end the season at SoFi as well, up against the Chargers. This could be a very interesting game. And, week 15, 16, 17, these are the games that decide, a lot of division winners, number 1 seeds. These are the nitty-gritty games to where, depending on where the Texans are in at the win total, these games could matter tremendously for not only playoff seeding, but also getting into the playoffs and winning the division. Like I said at the top of the show, we want to be back-to-back-to-back AFC South champs. This game could be a key factor into getting that done. And then the Texans end the year, I feel like they almost end the year almost every other year up against the Indianapolis Colts. That will be the Week 18 game, and as always, that's a TBD game. Depending on where the Texans, Colts, and other teams lied in the playoff race, maybe this is the primetime game like we saw 2 years ago in CJ Stroud's rookie year to make it to the playoffs to win the division, or maybe it's a game where the Texans already have something clinched and they're able to sit some starters. So a very, very interesting slate. The Texans, in terms of strength of schedule, are right there in the middle. They're tied at 16th for hardest schedule this season. Very interested to see how CJ Stroud and this offense bounces back in 2025. So let me know down in the comment section. Crystal ball time. Let me know. Predict the Texans record in 2025. How are we feeling, Texans fans? Give me your prediction down in the comment section. I'll come out with my record prediction video later on in the week, so you got to wait. Make sure you hit that sub button if you want to know what I think the Texans are going to do this year. But let me know down in the comment section. Give me your instant record prediction. You just saw the leaked schedule for the Houston Texans. Let me know if you think the Texans, how they're going to do this year. You think they're going to win 10 games, 11 games, 12 games, 13 games, 14 games? Give me your record prediction down below in the comment section. And I'm just going to end off the show right here with just recapping one more time all the games the Texans will be playing. The Texans 2025 schedule has been leaked, and this is what it is. Week 1 at the Rams in SoFi. Week 2, the first primetime game for the Houston Texans is going to be against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. Week 3 up against the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. First game against an AFC South foe and Travis Hunter. Week 4 up against the Titans at home. That is going to be the first time the Texans face number 1 overall pick Cam Ward. Then you go week 5 up against the Ravens. This is going to be at Baltimore facing Lamar Jackson. The Texans get an early bye this year. Week 6 is going to be their bye week. Then they go week 7, another primetime game at Seattle on Monday Night Football. Week 8 up against the San Francisco 49ers. Then week 9 up against the Broncos. Back-to-back home games. Week 10 up against the Jags. That's 3 home games in a row. Week 11, they will be facing the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. Then in week 12, a Thursday Night Football matchup up against the Buffalo Bills. Week 13 at the Indianapolis Colts. And then to round it out, the Texans, they have another primetime game. Week 14, Sunday Night Football at Arrowhead against the Kansas City Chiefs. Week 15 against the Cardinals at home. Week 16 against the Raiders at home. Week 17 at the Chargers, an away game. And they finish it off with a Week 18 game up against the Indianapolis Colts. That's all I have for you on today's show, folks. If you want to continue the conversation, you can always hit me up on Twitter. I'm at Jeremy Chuggs. My DMs, like I always say, they're always open. So if you want to continue the conversation, if you want to hit me up, you can do so there. And you made it to the end of the video. If you haven't hit that sub button already, what are we doing? You get free Texans videos all year long. So don't miss a beat. Make sure to hit that sub button and never miss a moment of Texans football.